I'm Melinda Sandor. Welcome to Lessons from the Cockpit. Let's get started. Hi, everybody. My name is Belinda Sandor, and I'll be your host for Lessons from the Cockpit. Well, I'm going to share both tactical and practical lessons every week for your virtual assistant business. And these tips I think you'll find are great if you've been a VA for a while or if you're just getting started. So I'd love to hear where you're coming in from. If you would let me know in the chat, that would be fabulous. And I really would love to welcome you. So Lessons from the Cockpit is brought to you by the VA Connection. And at the VA Connection, we work with new and aspiring VAs to help them build thriving businesses through our free online community on Facebook, our courses, and our coaching programs. So I hope you'll check us out and join the community. More about that at the end. So today we're going to talk about the 7 biggest mistakes that VAs make with when they're working with clients, and I think you're going to be surprised by some of them. They are not as well known as you think, but they are very common. But first, let me introduce myself for a minute. So here I am with my little delicious daughter, Emily, and this is us about 11 years ago when I was just thinking about starting my business as a virtual assistant. And honestly, it was really in one of the lowest parts of my life. I was surprised to be where I was, really surprised. I was a newly single mom. In addition to that, I didn't have a job, and I had a ton of debt. And to just kind of make everything a little bit worse, we had to move 3 times in 4 years before we were able to settle down. So hello, Lisa Marie. Hello. Welcome from Akron, Ohio. That's awesome. Watching us on LinkedIn, that's terrific. We do this live stream across Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. So welcome to all of you who are here and joining us. I really appreciate it. So here I am with this little girl trying to figure out how I'm going to get out of this mess. And the biggest issue for me was that there was really struggle everywhere. There was struggle everywhere, minimum payments, having to move, not knowing how I was going to make money, all of those things. And it was just really piling up on top of me. And it was difficult to breathe because there was no place where I could just sort of relax. So I was, trying to put on my thinking cap and figure out how am I going to make a living doing this, and or how am I going to make a living and be a single mom. I didn't want to go back to corporate. Because for me, corporate wasn't 9 to 5. It was like 9 to 8, 9 to 7, and I wanted to build my life around the everyday events, like being at the bus stop, like, being a Girl Scout leader, doing the things that were important to me, being able to pick up Emily from school if she wasn't feeling well, and being able to take care of her. So that was really important to me. So I had to figure out some way to do that. And here we have someone from Nigeria. Hello. Thank you for joining us. So what I decided to do was I decided to temp for a while. And the temping was good because I realized that when I was temping that people would pay to do things I already knew how to do. I had been an admin, a million years ago in my 20s. And I thought, that's what I'm going to do. So I started temping, but then I realized I wasn't going to be able to make as much money as I needed to. So I thought, if I can go directly to the client, I'm going to be able to make more money. So I set out to tell everybody I knew that I was doing admin work. And one day, not long after I decided to do this, I was at the school bus stop, and one of the dads said, how you doing? What's new? And I said, told them about my business. I've decided I'm going to do admin work for, small businesses and entrepreneurs, and see how that goes. I really would rather do that than get a job. And he said, oh my gosh, I cannot believe you're even saying that, because I started a business a couple months ago. I'm totally overwhelmed. I'm driving my wife crazy, and I really need some help. Can we talk about how I can, you can help me? And I said, absolutely. And that's how I got my first client. Hello, Jenny. Hello, hello, hello in the UK. Welcome. And so I started working for him. It wasn't virtual at first, but that was okay with me because I could walk to his office and I could do all the things I needed to do. My second client I met in the buffet line of a wedding, in the reception. I'm in the line getting some food, start chit-chatting with this guy and his wife, and he says, I tell him what I'm doing, and he handed me his card and said, "That's really cool." I didn't have a card because I was so just beginning, and so I connected with him on LinkedIn the next day thinking this is probably a smart thing to do. Like, even though I was a little, and I'm not kidding, terrified because I didn't really know him. That was a long time ago. People weren't connecting easily with each other, at least in my mind. And but a couple of weeks later, he got in touch with me and said, "I'm having an event. I'm hosting an event. Can you help me with, the registration and the making a handout? Can you come to the event, sell my books in the back of the room?" And I said, "You bet. I'll figure it out." And the thing is that after that event, what happened was he decided he wanted to do webinars. Again, dark ages of webinars. Everyone was not doing that. So he said, "I don't know how to do it, but I really like working with you. Would you figure out how we can do that?" So now my second client is paying me to figure out something I don't know how to do. Okay. So for all of you who think you have to know all the things, you don't have to know all the things to get started. Okay. So now fast forward, I want to just talk about now for a second. So I've been in business for 11 years. My VA business is called Rocket Girl Solutions, and I've been full-time since my first year. And I've worked with over 225 clients, and I've made over $1 million, literally sitting in the chair that I'm sitting in right now. And the reason that I was able to, well, I'll tell you how that breaks down. So the first year I made $70,000, and every year after that I made at least $100,000. So when you do the math, that equals $100 million, $100,000 a year, but $1 million, and even more now, since I've been working for 11 years now. And it is from working in a little corner of my home, so it's absolutely doable. It's absolutely doable. Hello, Ryan. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining us today. Hello. So here's what it looks like today. It's very different. It's very different. There's no more struggle. This is my brand new husband. We got married last summer. This is Emily, almost all grown up, and these are Greg's 4 boys. So we grew the team. We grew the team, and my finances are handled. There's no more minimum payments and barely getting by. I have a thriving business, a daughter who's happy, who's healthy. I'm going to see her tomorrow. I'm very excited about that. And I can breathe again. I can breathe again. And the thing that's most important for me is that I'm self-reliant. I'm not depending on someone else to bring me work or to pay me. I've learned how to do that myself. And it is really such a relief. It's really such a relief. So excellent. Okay, so let's jump into these 7 mistakes. So we're going to talk about the 7 mistakes that people, that virtual assistants make when starting their business, not when they're starting their business, but working with clients. And that's actually an important point because, so here you are, you've got a couple of clients, you probably have, more time on your hands than client work. And it's easy to set yourself up for future problems when that happens, because there are things that you might do that when you scale and when your business gets bigger, it's not going to work, right? So you really have to think about these things when you're starting out. So in this issue or edition of episode of Lessons from the Cockpit, we're going to talk about how to make your business be both scalable and fun. And we're going to leave the stress behind. I'm going to help you skip all the mistakes that I made, when I was going through this in the beginning. Okay, so let's jump in. Okay, so when you're working from home and you're making your own hours, part of what makes being a VA so fabulous is that you get to do that. On the other hand, if you're not structured, that can come back to bite you, right? Because days can be lost without you really paying attention to what you're doing. So with, no boss, no coworkers, it can be easy to get distracted with laundry, house cleaning, phone calls, social media scrolling, or binge watching some show that you found last week. So you really have to think about how you want to structure your day and be very intentional about it and establish clear working hours. So the first thing would be to decide when you're going to work, like which days of the week, which hours of the day, and that's when you're going to focus on specifically work. So either doing client work or working on your own business. It's critical to create a routine. It's really critical because it's so easy to walk by the linen closet and all of a sudden you're organizing it, or you're in the pantry and you see something that's expired and you think, I bet there's more things in here that are expired. Let me look for them. So you really want to stay away from day-to-day chores and things that are distracting. You also need to train your clients because if you don't want your clients to be, hanging out with you and on the weekend and expecting a response from you, don't communicate with them on the weekend. And there's a trick. If you are working on the weekend because you want to, and you don't want to engage your clients during that time and show them that you're working on the weekend, you can schedule emails to go out Monday morning. So you can clear your inbox, you can do a whole bunch of work, and then have the emails to the clients telling them where you stand go out on Monday. So it's really important that, you think about, if, I have one client, maybe I'm working on the weekend. If you have 20 clients, how's that going to go? And are you going to have any time off? So really think about that. Now, this is sort of a pro tip. Just because your clients are working on the weekend and emailing you with work to do, it doesn't mean you need to do it on the weekend. If you establish regular working hours and you make them clear, they're just working. Yay them. They're getting stuff done. But that doesn't mean you need to respond. Okay. So when someone emails you over the weekend, I don't want you to get upset and think, oh my gosh, they want me to do this thing, blah, blah, blah. I want you to think, oh, wow, this is awesome. I already have some new work for next week. Yay. Okay. So that's how I want you to think about it. You also have to train your family and friends. When I had a job, if a friend called, I would answer the phone and we'd chit chat for a few minutes. I don't do that now because my hours are billable. It's very different, and time is money. So I'll schedule time to talk to friends on the weekend, at night, while I'm driving, things like that, and not when I've scheduled to be at my desk. So you really have to think about that. And when you're starting out, if you don't have enough client work, I want you to work on your business during those hours and keep that schedule going. Okay, awesome. All right, number 2. Not understanding what your client wants. Okay, this is the second mistake. So here's the thing. As a VA, you're going to be working with a lot of people. Many of them you've never met. The majority of my clients, I've never met them. And much of the work is going to come in email requests or some sort of project management software. And here's the other thing, and this is a big one. Many clients are not good delegators. They're just not. Many humans are not good delegators. So when you put that all together, it's going to be easy for a miscommunication to happen. So it's your job to make sure you understand the expectations. Okay. So there's a couple things that go with that. One is that instead of just doing exactly what the client says, I want you to put your thinking cap on again, right? And I want you to think about what they want you to do, unless they're very clear. I've thought about it. This is what I want to do. I want you to think about, is there a way you can improve the quality of the work, right? So maybe there's a step they're missing. Maybe there's something you think that you can take out. Of course, communicate this with the client before you just change what the request. But you thinking about it, because, like I said, I've been in 225 businesses. As soon as you get going, you're going to be in a bunch of businesses and you're going to see common mistakes, and you can make suggestions. And that's part of your secret sauce. So the first thing you want to do when you start to work on a project is you want to think about the whole thing. You want to make sure that if you have questions, you organize them clearly, succinctly. You make sure that you're not asking for something that you could figure out yourself if you take a couple of minutes. And then there's this whole idea of reverse delegation, which is looking at the project, going back and getting all the information you need from the client so you can do it clearly. And then when you can, restate what they're asking you to do. So here's an example. If I'm on Zoom with them or a phone call, after they explain what they want me to do, and I'm taking notes in Evernote, when we're about to hang up, I say, let me just review what the plan is. And I'll repeat it to them. And I'll even jot down the things that they need to do. Like, you're going to send me the username and password. You're going to forward the document to me. You're going to whatever it is. And I write those things down in my notes so that I remember that I need those things, right? So you want to help yourself as much as possible. So understanding what the client wants is really important. Okay. So mistake number 3 is not having the right tools. And there's 2 sides to this. Okay. So let's talk about both. So the first side is, not really taking this whole thing seriously, using, kind of a back of the envelope approach. You sitting at the kitchen table, not having a computer that's, that can handle what you're doing. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to, you don't want to be using a system that's going to crumble under its own weight. And, sitting at the kitchen table might seem fine, but like, what about spring break? Your kids are going to be home or whatever, or if you want to work on the weekends. So you want to find a dedicated private place where you can work. Now, sometimes when VAs are starting out, they think that they need to get a whole bunch of software, a whole bunch of tools, and you really don't. So here's the thing. When I started out, I had a notebook, a phone, and a computer. I had Microsoft Office, and that was pretty much it. What I did was, as I needed new tools, like, for example, when I realized I need to track my time, I found a free tool. I used the free tool for a long time. And if you need to upgrade, that's fine. But just be really clear why you need to start paying for it. Okay. So the important thing is to have the right tool for the job, but you don't need to go out and get some big giant all-in-one tool for VAs that you think everybody needs to have. It's not important. I would say probably 85 to 90% of the tools I use in my VA business are free. And it does everything I need. I am very impatient when it comes to software not doing what I need. So when I need to pay for it, I whip that credit card out. But I think you'll find that there's a lot of things, that you don't need that VAs think that they do, and they just start signing up for all kinds of stuff. And before you know it, you're in all these subscriptions and have software that you don't even remember that you have. So be sure to keep track of the software you're paying for, so that doesn't happen to you. It's definitely happened to me. The other thing I want to talk about is that often clients will be providing the software you need. So for example, if a client wants to work in project management software like Asana, and they want to assign things to you, they'll be the one that pays for that. If they want you to do social media scheduling for them, they'll be the one that pays for the social media scheduling tool. So there's many things that you will be using all day long, like MailChimp or Constant Contact, but it will be the client's tool that you'll be using and accessing to do that work. Okay? So definitely get the tools you need. Okay, so this is a big one. All right? Not being clear about how much you charge and when you get paid. Okay? Now, I know talking about money can be really uncomfortable. It can be really uncomfortable. But if you're in business, you need to get used to it. It's just like part of the deal. All right. So while it might seem that you're being nice by being flexible about your pricing when you get paid and all of that, it's actually you're hurting your client relationship. And I think some of you might be surprised by that. So the good clients, the kind that you want a lot of, they don't want to feel like they're taking advantage of you. They don't want to feel like they're doing you a favor. They want to feel like, they've compensated you for your time. They can come back and ask for more. And, they don't want anything to be wishy-washy, and they really don't want any surprises. So, when they receive your invoice, if you're not using the debit card system, if you don't know about the debit card system, definitely check that out at thevaconnection.com. There's lots of information on the blog. Just put debit card system in the search, and a couple of articles will pop up. So with the debit card system, I get paid up front. People prepay my time. And so it's a very simple way to not have to invoice, to not have to go through all of that chasing money to get paid, which has worked really well for me. So I want you to choose a rate and communicate it clearly and confidently. This is how much I charge. This is how it works, right? Very clear. And you're probably going to have to practice talking about it out loud. I know that I did, so that I could have the tone of voice I'm having with you right now, right? It's really simple. Here's how it works. People prepay my time. This is how much it is an hour. This is how it works. So just remember, talking about money gets easier the more you talk about money. So try not to, veer away from it. You don't need to discount your services because you're just starting out. You don't need to give introductory special prices. I don't want you to do any of that. I want you to pick a price and then probably add $10 or $15 to it, and then learn how to confidently talk about it. Okay. So getting clear about how much you charge and when you get paid, critical. Okay. So this is kind of a softer skill. When working with clients, you want to stick to business. It's really all about them. We are in service to our clients, which is not the same thing as servants, but in service means we're there to help them, and we need to remember that. So part of our role is to be upbeat, to be positive, not to come to a call or a meeting with, Debbie Downer. So if at the beginning of the conversation, the client says, "How was your weekend?" Great. Or a little rainy, but like, that's kind of it. Like if someone were to ask me on Monday, hopefully what I'll be saying is, "Great weekend. We, went to see Emily. We went out to lunch. It was awesome." Boom, stop talking. Okay. So you really want to keep it, short and sweet. Now, if you have clients who are friends, and I have many clients who become friends over the year, like friends, I keep it very separate. If we have a meeting and we're talking about work, short and sweet. How's it going? Great. Then what I do is I schedule a separate time to talk to them as friends. And then I am who I am, and, and we have our friendship. So you just want to be respectful of your clients, even when they're friends. Their work day is their work day, and not, inject a lot of chit chat into that conversation. Okay. So stick to business. They'll appreciate it. Okay, so not being selective about who hires you. Now, I have a feeling that a lot of you think, "Oh, she can be selective now. She's been doing this for 11 years. She has a jillion clients. She's making a lot of money." But here's the thing. If you're not selective in the beginning, you're going to have difficult conversations and fire clients. So if there are red flags that are going off when you're talking to a potential client, I want you to think about what the cost is going to be, all right, for working with someone who is just not a good fit. Now, it's hard in the beginning to know because you don't have any experience, but I'll tell you what some of the red flags are for me. And one of the reasons this is so important is it totally spills into your personal life. It's going to impact your relationships, your friendships, your marriage, all of that, because when you're in a relationship, when you're in a client relationship that's difficult, it doesn't feel good. It's uncomfortable, right? So let me give you some of my red flags so you can just put them in the back of your head and keep them in mind. Whoops, hold on. I scrolled my mouse. So clients who have emergencies, lots of emergencies, that's not a good fit, right? Clients who badmouth their employees or other people they've worked with, that's usually like not going to work. Okay. Clients who don't pay promptly, that's a nightmare. And so for me, I get paid up front. If a potential client has a big problem with that, that's probably not going to work. Like, why are they having trouble with that concept? When all these other 225 people haven't. So you really want to trust your gut when it comes to this, and really realize that queasy feeling in your stomach is there for a reason. So, and the fact that you have these feelings is enough. You don't have to justify it, like, you don't have to make yourself wrong about it. You just want to know, this is not a good fit. This is not a good fit. And when you do have to fire a client, you want to be like quick about it and not I've seen VAs spend years, like just dreading having that conversation, or they'll say, "I really like her, but she's terrible to work with." So really like her and make her your friend, but don't, have her be torturing your day. Okay. All right. One more mistake. This is huge. This is huge. And this is disappearing. Now, part of this is because your client can't see you. So they don't know when you're at your desk, when you're not at your desk. And it's important that you be prompt in responding. An example of this is I have a handful of clients that they worry that I didn't get their email. It's just their personality. It's the way it goes. So instead of thinking they need to get over it, when I get an email from them, I respond within, an hour or so during working hours and say, thank you, I received this. I'll get back to you tomorrow or Wednesday or in an hour or whatever. But I want them to have the feeling that I've got them, because that is a big part of being a VA. So, they can't see you. They don't know if you're hitting the deadline. So any kind of reassurance that you can give them really will help you a lot. So, because here's the thing, the best clients are the ones that trust you with things that are mission critical. And if we don't show up, then that's going to be an issue. So Tracy has a question. Let's pop it up. Do clients ever treat you like an employee, like they own you? That's a really good question. So they don't, and I'm trying to think why not. I think I'm just thinking about that for a minute. They don't treat me like an employee. So here's the thing. So a client, it's very different from having a job. And sometimes it's hard to understand that. I totally get your question, Tracy. So clients will give me work, but they don't expect me to do it right then. And part of that is setting the expectation. And they don't know where I am all day, so for example, I have right now 29 active clients. Some of them will email me today and ask me to do something. If I can do it today, I will. But if I can't, I'll do it tomorrow or the next day. But by acting like a business owner, I think that's a big part of it. So for example, when I am talking to someone about potentially working together, I'll use the phrase, they'll say, can you do X, Y, and Z? And I'll say, sure, absolutely. If we decide to work together, I would be happy to help you with that. So it's really a two-way street. I'm not jumping up and down and saying, hire me and charging $15 an hour. It's a different conversation. So I really haven't had that happen. Frankly, my clients can't afford to do that because, if they needed my attention all the time, I mean, it would really add up. Mostly what they want is they have certain tasks they want to have done either every week. I have some clients that every week I have a list of things that I do and I handle it. I let them know. But no, I have not experienced that. And I think that's a huge mindset question, about how we think about ourselves, how we present ourselves. But it's very different, I'm happy to say, than having a job, for sure. For sure. Now, here's another thing. When you're not going to meet a deadline, you need to own up to it. Really critical. So the thing is that if we have a deadline today at 2, we probably know yesterday, or at least this morning, that we're not going to hit it. So we want to avoid that at all costs. And sometimes stuff happens, and, somebody gets sick or the car breaks down or, something happens. You want to communicate that as quickly as possible, because that gives the client a chance to have plan B. Like, I'll do it myself, or we'll wait till tomorrow, or whatever it is. And they're not, they're not feeling like you just disappeared and you vaporized. Okay. So those are the 7 mistakes that I see VAs make when working with clients, and I want to bring them to light so that you can avoid them. So we have another question. So Brian says, I faced that quite recently, blowing up my phone and other inconveniences, like expecting me to complete a task while on a 2-hour call with them. I don't know how to overcome this. Excellent. Now, so I do have clients that want me to work real time. Like the other day, someone wanted to set up Calendly. We shared the screen and we did it together. And that was great. And I asked her when we started, are we going to talk and you're going to explain to me what to do, or would you like to do this together? And she said, I want to do this together. Now, the thing is, Brian, and everybody, you're in charge of your phone. If a client starts blowing my phone up and it's dinner time or whatever, or just because they're doing that, it doesn't mean that I need to respond. It doesn't mean that. Now, again, we're in service. So if a client who's very respectful is having some kind of crisis, I want to help them. But it doesn't mean that I need to, change what I'm doing. So I think it's really setting the I'm just looking at your question, setting the expectation. And if like, for example, I had a client last week send me a series of text messages and I said, received, I'll respond in a couple of hours. And then if that's not okay with them, they're probably not a good fit. But really setting the tone going into the relationship is important, and how you respond to that as well. So so good luck with making that shift. It's not always easy. The client that I was talking to that was blowing up my phone, he emailed me at 9:00 at night the night before, and I was not working. And he texted me at 9:00 the next morning, which is about when I started my day, and said, did you see that? Can you get right on it? And I said, absolutely, I'll handle it this morning. And that's all I said. I didn't go into, holy cow, you just gave that to me. None of that. Just absolutely, I'll handle that this morning. And then that kind of stops them in their tracks a little bit. Okay. So there's definitely management issues when it comes to clients. All right, guys. So I want to tell you one more thing before we jump off. I would love to invite you to my 5-day training. It's coming up in a couple of weeks. It's called the VA Client Kickstart Challenge. And we're going to talk about all kinds of ways to get a steady stream of fabulous clients in the door, and and providing work for you. So on the first day, we're going to talk about your services, what services you can offer, how to talk about them, and how to choose them. So you'll absolutely leave with tips on that. Actually, you're going to leave with a services list. You're going to leave with a services list. On day 2, we're going to talk about how to talk about your work. When we're new, we tend to just like talk, instead of being able to clearly articulate what we do in a sentence or two and stop talking. So we're going to talk about the importance of that, and you're going to leave with a script for that. Day 3, we're going to talk about where clients are hiding out. And it's not in Facebook groups. It's not on social media. My clients find me, and I'm going to teach you how to have that happen for yourself as well. Okay. Day 4, we're going to talk about support systems you need. And I'm going to open the doors for enrollment for my program called VA School, Create the Business of Your Dreams as a Virtual Assistant. And then on day 5, we're going to do Q&A. So I would love for you to sign up. You can go to vachallenge.info. Sign up for this free training. I think you'll get a lot out of it. I love doing this training, and people get results fast when they do this. So I'm just looking at if there's any more questions. Let's see. So here's a question. Do I have a good chance of getting hired as a VA considering the fact that I'm from Nigeria? I'm just about to get started. I've been watching lots of webinars, reading articles. I'm a bit nervous though. It really did. I would love for you to come to the 5-day challenge. There is a woman in my VA school program from Nigeria. I do believe it can work. The things that I'm going to teach you to do though is not about approaching strangers. It's about really nurturing it's kind of like people collecting in the nicest way. And so if you can do that, I absolutely do think it can work. So come to the challenge, sign up, and and see what you can get from those first days, and see what you can put into place. But I have clients all over the world, and I think it works. I do think it works. And you're welcome, Tracy. You're welcome. I'm glad that was good advice for you. Okay, guys, thanks for coming. This has been awesome. We do this every Friday at noon Eastern. I hope you'll join me next week for lessons from the cockpit. Have a great week. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.